Thank you for joining us here at the Frida Cinema. My name is Cody. I am the captain of the Nostalgic Nebula, presenting this very special screening today with the Frida Cinema. Give them a big round of applause. They're Orange County's only nonprofit cinema. All the people out there working concessions are all volunteers. So, it's great. Be sure to look out for their upcoming programming. And be sure to follow us at Nostalgic Nebula and at the Frida Cinema to check out, what we'll have coming up in 2025. Will be a lot of fun. Anyways, please welcome to the stage. We have Catherine Mary Stewart, Lance Guest, and Chris Hebert. Keep it going. Woo! There you go. Yeah. Mic check, everybody good?
Hello, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, great guys. Thank you for joining us here. Let's dig right into it. It was a pretty short film shoot, 38 days. How was that, was there a lot of pressure to get, the right takes and everything like that?
Well, I'm the one that complains about this most.
You were in everything, that's why.
Yeah. I kept having these fantasies of Martin Scorsese going, okay, Bobby, now we need take 87. I think we need a little more. 87. And it was like, were we in focus? Did you say the right lines? Okay, moving on. So it was rough, because I kind of wanted to get everything perfect, and we got about 2 takes, maybe 3. So that's fairly unusual for like a feature film. In TV, they sort of have it all down, so they I guess rehearse a lot or whatever. It's just films usually take longer than 2 takes. But the company that was doing it had worked primarily in television, so that was let's go 38 days.
Chris, you were very young for this film, not extremely young, but you're the youngest main of the cast. What was that like being on this? Had you done other films up to this point, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had been doing acting for a few years before this, mostly with commercials and television. You guys remember commercials? Remember those things that we used to go to the restroom in between television episodes? So it was my first feature film, and so I had some background in doing it. And my experience overall, especially as a young actor, was very positive. Nick Castle, the director, in my memories of working with different directors as a young actor, he was definitely among those who really not only made me feel welcome, he really knew how to direct young people, and everybody, including him, just created a very positive family atmosphere. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. It's just a very positive atmosphere. And I've been on sets where there was a lot of tension and drama. I don't remember, in my experience, any of that. It's a great memory for me as someone growing up. Yeah, it's a great experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wow. Were friends like back at school and such? Were they jealous, or
No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, they knew I did acting, but frankly, anyone who knew me, at least I hope so, anyone who knew me or knows me, I'm not someone, it's not something I readily bring up, and it's not because I regret it, it's not because I'm ashamed of it, it's just that I like people to know me, love me, or hate me for who I am, and we live in a culture that's very celebrity driven, and a lot of people see celebrities like that's their only identity, that's their only life. And so if you're doing really well, great, and if you're not doing as well, oh, what happened to you? Like, oh, you're a has-been, and that's unfortunate. So yeah, I'm not ashamed of it. People who know me knew me as Chris, who loved to run around in the backyard and play in television. Oh yeah, going way back and just, just being me. So I hope I'm remembered as just being a normal kid who did acting.
No, yeah, absolutely. And now, Lance and Catherine, could you tell us a little bit about your scenes when you were beta and trying to the comedy that ensued with that?
Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was so much fun for me as an actor, because I just had to sort of react to what he was doing. And he was so good at playing the beta unit as a blank slate and trying to figure out what it was he was supposed to do. And my job was to react to beta, confused basically, as this sort of subtle personality change. But it was super fun. I mean, it gives the characters a little more dimension, and I love, one of my favorite scenes is at the lake where we're making out and he's hearing what it is he's supposed to say and everything, and I'm getting very frustrated with him. I mean, that whole sequence from that, it just sort of covers a lot of ground, from like romance to anger to like the Zandozan shooting him and the things spurting out, and then the realization that this isn't my boyfriend, and the drama of leaping into the truck and driving and getting the explanation as we're driving, and then he explodes, and I'm like, I love you, and it's sort of love it, love all that stuff.
That shot is so money.
I
That
love
shot is so money.
I love you. Alex.
Fan blowing, the zoom in, the music, it's so great.
I know, that to me, that's what it's all about. That is Hollywood. Oh, and I got to do that. It was super fun.
Yeah, and I have to say, a lot of people say, was that really fun to do that? And the thing is, it was really in the writing. Now that I think about it, it was totally instinctual. Sometimes you read a script and you go, okay, this is supposed to be funny. How do we make it funny? Because it's not funny on the page. But this was absolutely in the writing. All you have to do is imagine this guy's completely clueless. He doesn't know what to do. Go. And it's just Beta's just in the moment all the time because he's terrified all the time. So that's why those scenes worked. People always ask why they worked, and I always say, well, because I didn't have to worry about anything. I wasn't doing anything. I just was reacting. But it really is in the writing, I have to say.
I've always admired the little nuances that you bring to Beta, the eyebrow. Oh,
Well, that was Nick. That was Nick. Yeah, I can't take credit for hardly anything. I can't give credit for I messed up his hair a little bit. I didn't have a hairstyle or anything. I just sort of did like a dorky thing because I figured, why would he know what that is?
Right.
The laugh on cue.
The what?
The laugh on cue.
Oh God, yes.
That's a story in itself. Take it over, Lance.
I had a 105-degree temperature, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had just gotten sick, and I had like what they called the Russian flu or some bad strain of flu.
That sounds fun.
And it's, we're up in the mountains, and it's like 40 degrees outside. It's March or something, and I was really, really sick. And the producer said, Lance, we gotta get this. Like in a stuntman, we must have this shot. And
Also, it
there's
was,
no getting out of it.
yeah, and also these were pickup shots, because I think, didn't they test the movie or something like that, and they wanted more of Beta.
More Beta.
So we did some pickup shots, and by that time, months and months had gone by, and you were in some other role. So his hair was completely different. He had to wear a wig, and my hair was subtly different. But like the shot where I go in to his bedroom, and I say, "How you doing?" And when he pulls back the blanket, and that was a pickup shot as well as the one where the final shot of us going up into the starship. What is it called?
It's called the Gun Star.
Oh, thank you so much. I know what a trailer park is. What do I know about gun stars?
We write it, don't we?
And yeah, and a lot of people always say, what did you say to her? Because we're like saying something on the way up. I don't know, should we reveal that? You reveal it. You were
If
talking
you could
about
read my lips, I thought it'd be really cute if I said, just like in the movies.
and it made me laugh. You're so charming.
Oh my gosh, I've never known that.
I was meta before there was meta, baby.
So yeah, those are pickup shots, which,
I love that, never heard that.
yeah.
Yeah, Chris and Lance, could you tell us a little bit about the scene where, as Beta, it's wonderful practical effect, classic practical effects of Beta's, head off, and did it take a lot for setting up those shots?
That was a reshoot, yeah.
Yeah, we came back 6-7 months later, and I was wearing a wig too.
That's right, you were.
I was, because like the month before, I was in a mini series called Robert Kennedy and His Times, so I had the Kennedy cut really short,
Right.
so I had to have the wig. So we were, brothers in wigs.
We were brothers
It
and
was
sisters.
good.
That's
So-
hilarious.
Yeah, well, you were sick during that one too,
I
right?
don't think I was. Maybe I might have gotten started.
Okay.
It was about 7 days, I think.
Okay. I remember how did they do the mold? Do you remember? how
Oh yeah,
did
they just, they stuck these straws up my nose and said, okay, just keep breathing through your nose, we're gonna pour this glop on your head.
Yeah.
And they gave me like a bald cap, and then they just painted my whole face with this stuff, whatever it was. Like dentist mold stuff, whatever that's called. They do it, mold your teeth. And I just sort of sat there for 40 minutes or something, and then they peeled it off. And it was surreal. It's kind of like sensory deprivation, or if you're claustrophobic, it's a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah, it was just weird. And then they cut a hole in the desk, and
Yeah.
that's, I knelt underneath there. That was how they.
And they had a guy bent over like this, and then they put the
Yeah.
lights,
Little
and the
light on
blinking
there.
lights and things on top of his.
I think that's what I remember most was just the process
Right.
of it. I mean, just, how are they gonna do this? And just the practicality of it. Oh, okay, that was cool for me. And then just playing the scene back and forth with you. I know my slight contribution to that scene was when he does the last little peek and you say, Lewis. I said, Nick, can I just look again? And, yeah. So that's my slight contribution to that scene.
It was brilliant.
There we go.
Brilliant.
There we go.
It's
But yeah,
kind
I remember it was just a lot of fun playing back and forth with that.
Yeah.
You were always just really great. Always.
You too.
Did you keep the prop head?
No, I didn't. I haven't. Yeah, no, I didn't.
Do you have any stuff from the show?
No. I had a pair of jeans and a pair of Adidas. Because there was about five pairs of jeans, because they always double costumes in case they get wrecked. So nobody else wore like 3140s, so those were mine.
I'm going to turn it over to the audience in just a little bit, so go ahead and start to think up some questions, and I'll go running around in just a little bit. For this next one, could you tell us a little bit about where was the on-location filming, and where was the in-studio? Where did you do all of that outer space?
Well,
Go ahead.
okay, well, the on-location one was up in Canyon Country, Soledad Canyon, Agua Dulce.
Isn't it Antelope Valley? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Antelope
Antelope
Freeway.
Valley, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And, but you had to take the 14 off the 5, and it took like 45 minutes to get there. And the general store was a real store,
The trailer park was a real trailer park.
except they moved everybody out and put them up in hotels.
And dressed it all up,
Yeah, and
to make it look like almost a cartoon, right?
Yeah, it's kinda-
Yeah.
and then we shot at Ince Studios, I think, or in Overland, in Gin, yeah, Culver City.
Yeah, in Culver City, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, that's what that is. I don't know the name of the soundstage, but it was just a soundstage where most of the space stuff took place.
Yeah, love the set design. Ron Cobb, I do believe, am I right?
Right.
He did
He was a
Alien,
production designer,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Jim Bissell was the art director, as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got to meet Robert Preston when we were doing the reshoots. I never worked with him on the set. So he was leaving as I was arriving to do my bit, and Nick Castle introduced me, and oh my gosh, he was exactly as you would imagine. I mean, just like to me, he kind of glowed. There was sort of this golden sort of halo around him, and he took my hand and he kissed it. And I don't know, he had to be I was like in my 20s, and he was in his probably 60s or so.
He was our age right now.
Oh God. He was really, really old.
I like her. She's really, really old.
And he kissed my hand, and I swear to God, I was like, I never wash my hand again. He just had that impression on me, and it just seemed like a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah.
And you got to work with him, so you know.
Yeah. Is that us? Or is that just?
That's
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm like
So
slowly
loud.
fading back. Yeah, like I always say, he's this like very rugged, hale and hearty fella. You know, he's 3 o'clock in the
To
morning.
me, he was like Mr. Polite guy.
No, I mean he was robust and he could
He wasn't really old.
do lots of takes and stuff, and he smoked like a chimney. But he was so great with rehearsing with me, because I was always like, we only get 2 takes, we gotta like get it right the second take. So he didn't mind going over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And a lot of older actors are like, come on kid, deal with it. And he wasn't. He was totally cool.
I think some of you all were theater kids. Did any of you do the Music Man when you were?
Oh, I didn't.
Not me.
No,
I never did it. I memorized that thing, like before I go to school, I memorized the Trouble in River City rap that he does. But that's just because I thought it was so cool.
Before I turn it over to the audience, any fun Dan O'Hurley stories?
Yes, I don't know.
Well, mostly that we didn't, like you didn't see him out of his makeup. And I didn't really either until at one point I'm like, oh, that's what you look like. because he just, he's got that funny iguana head on, and he would come in early and leave before us, and we never saw him leave. So it's like, we already knew what he looked like.
I think it was for the 25th anniversary screening. I thought, I hadn't seen it for a long, long time, and I thought, I better figure out who all these actors are in this movie. And so I looked up Dan O'Hurley, and I mean, his career, he's an iconic actor, and he very handsome face. I had no idea what he looked like, because the only time actually I worked with him was when you guys landed in the trailer park, and I shake his hand and stuff like that. I was just gobsmacked, it was cool.
And like I said, we really admire his attention to detail about, he was like a character sort of commenting on sort of human behavior, because he had to sort of take a crash course in human behavior, how to speak and what to say and what words to emphasize. And he deliberately emphasized the wrong words in a lot of, it's great to meet you, is what he said. It's like he does this whole thing like, am I gonna emphasize the right word? I don't think so, But he did it on purpose, he had these like little quirks and all these little bizarre things he had to do, because he had to convey it from behind this big
Rubber
mask.
mask.
And
It was like half an inch thick,
Yeah.
And what is very telling about what a talented actor he is the fact that he could convey such emotion and moods and thoughts just through his eyes or his shoulders or his mouth sometimes, and he was very, very restricted in terms of what it is he could do. So he worked really hard on that, and I mean, it's wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
I remember he was, during that last scene, and of course I was young, so he was being very nice and silly, and I was asking him about the mask, and he said, yes, earlier a fly came up and bit me, and then it dropped dead. So, I'm like, really? I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a fun story. Of course, yeah. And of course, the Greg laugh is wonderful.
The wheezing horse.
Yep, so great.
Question. Oh, hands up,
This is why Cody's so slim. He's just constantly running up and down the.
Guys, thank you for coming out today. We all really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Again, big round of applause for that. Thank you, Jay. I just have a question. Was there anything that you guys may have shot that they didn't show that you said, I really wish they would have kept that, or anything like that?
You know, I probably had some when we first saw it, but it's been so many years, you just tend to
Kinda
forget
forget
the
about
stuff.
it.
That,
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to be in love with things like, oh, it would have been so great if.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was, but I just don't remember.
Is there anything you may have like,
I
tried to
don't know,
find?
who was I talking with about the deleted scenes in here? Did they have delete on the Blu-ray? I don't know that I've even looked at deleted scenes. Yeah, I haven't seen them. Can we put the deleted scenes up here on the screen, please? That would be great for us.
Anybody know any of this trivia?
No, I don't.
Okay.
How about any takes, like, oh, I wish they would have kept that take rather than that take? Any takes?
Any takes?
Takes that would have like, oh, I wish they kept the first take rather than the second take kind of thing?
Oh, I would
No.
not be able to remember that.
No problem.
Only that Will Wheaton was in it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's Will's big movie.
Several Star Trek people were in it. Yeah, Grandma, who was in Star Trek.
Yes, the
And,
original. She was in the first episode of Star Trek, the
Oh,
TV
wow.
show. Yeah.
That's right, and the Xanozan guy, he's also in another Star Trek
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Also, my director from Jaws the Revenge, he directed the first episode of Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said. It was either the pilot, and it might not have served as the first one, but I think he directed the pilot of it. Yeah, Joe Sargent.
well, thank you, Lance. I do have a quick question. I'm Lenny, by the way. Your character, Alex, okay? You're at the trailer park, you're waiting for this letter to come. They didn't explain it real well, but was that like a grant or a loan? And you're gonna go to college, so what was gonna be your major? Because you didn't want to go to city college with your friends. What was your major gonna be?
Come on, Mr. Method Actor guy.
Engineering. Engineering. Because I like to, patch the electric guy.
That's right. I was gonna say, we're always fixing the stuff.
Programs.
Well, thank you.
That was it.
Good question. We never got that question before.
When I started it, when I did my writing, I had to
Oh, well, no, I
I had
mean
to
from
figure out
the
what-
Q&A.
yes, that's true, that's a good.
Real fast before the next question, just going along with, the cast, and being young, I did not understand and really appreciate the careers of so many people when I get older, and I'm a film buff, I love it, and I love old, or I should say classic television series, like the Trailer Park, they have television resumes that would choke a horse, like, oh my gosh, I worked with him, I worked with her, and I didn't appreciate it at the time. It's like, I wish I could go back and geek out a little bit more, just a further appreciation of everybody that I had worked with.
Yeah. They really made it. There's a lot of really subtle humor in the sort of character of the Trailer Park Residents. I thought was sort of not necessarily going to be part of the story, and John and Nick really made it part of the story.
And back here. So did the production team or the actors, wait, back here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Have any ideas for a sequel? And if not, do you have your own ideas for a sequel? What would you expect the next step of the story to have been?
It's such a long, it's a long
Okay,
story.
I was just sharing this today. Yes, I remember with my mom and a couple of the people, like, during the production going, so like in the sequel, Lewis is gonna join the Starfighters, right? Because, the ending shot, it's like, it's a natural thing. And of course, if you're gonna write a sequel when you're 11 years old, put yourself, as a lead role. So, but professionally, I don't remember that there was any talk about it.
No, they sadly, this movie just kind of, we went up, we made our paltry, whatever it was, $28,000 or 40, whatever it was. We didn't make that much money opening weekend, and in 3 weeks, it was gone from the LA area. There were other places in the country where it was more popular, it would stay for maybe 2 months, but it was kind of off the grid after 2-3 months. And in Hollywood, they're like, okay, next. So,
Yeah, it really found its footing, I think, in the VHS market, and it's had this longevity. And so more recently, they've been talking about sequels. You may or may not have heard about it or heard something, but Jonathan Betchell, the original writer, has written a sequel and is kind of trying to sell it to somebody. And I mean, this serious talk about it, Nick involved and Jonathan Betchell, has been going on for probably a decade. But so, you know, hopefully we won't be great-grandparents by the time the thing comes out. But yeah, there has been talk, and it really never has stopped. But
no, it hasn't. The idea is that the people involved are, you know, the original creators are very, very protective of it, and very much like there is something special about this movie, and we don't want to be like American Graffiti 2, you know. It's just like it doesn't want to, because that's what they used to do. They used to make a show, and then the sequel was like terrible. You know, there was Empire, there was Godfather Part 2, and then what else? I mean, they started class bites. But
the Killer Tomatoes.
yeah.
Hey, that was good.
No, but I mean, it's, back in those days, the sequels were, it was hard to get a good sequel. Once they were going to make a sequel, the feeling was always like, yeah. And even though, like I said, Empire and Godfather Part 2 are good examples, that was not the norm.
and also there's a concern that, you know, the Last Starfighter really originated a lot of the CGI that you see today. It was very simplistic and all that other stuff, but I think one of the concerns is taking that aspect and just exploding with it, because this is kind of platform that you can really do a lot of crazy special effects. But the thing that's really so great about Last Starfighter, and I think does help with its longevity, is the fact that it's about the characters, it's about the people, and the audience can relate. Yes, it's a fantastical story, but it's inspiring because you can relate to Alex, and you can relate to Meg, and you can relate to Lewis. And I feel like there's so many movies that depend heavily on CGI and special effects and hope that that will be entertaining. But those are kind of, in my opinion, movies that they can sort of blow you away, but then you forget about them because there's nothing to really remember. So I think they're very protective of that aspect of it too.
Yeah, which I agree.
So.
Oh, sorry.
First off, thank you for playing iconic characters that we can all relate to, honestly, to this day. And I think my first question is for Chris. When it comes to the Playboy thing, like, did you have any experience with it? And as far as like looking for your
Where did it go from
That's
there?
a good question. That's a good question.
We all want to know.
You couldn't escape it, Chris. You just
So
couldn't.
let's
escape
make sure I'm understanding the question. If I heard correctly, did I have previous experience with Playboys? Is that what I'm hearing? No. No. That was right there on the set. So.
Take 27.
As far as the name, did you come up with that, or
Did what?
the name for June?
No, that's all in the script. Yeah, everything from, Where's June to Yolanda Baby was 10 years old, 11 years old. There's no way I could come up with that, trust me. No, that was all in the script.
Do you remember what was in there? What were you actually looking at? Because I'm sure it wasn't the actual.
A very enlightening article. Yeah.
So, this question is for Lance. There's a point in the movie where I really noticed your face, and I noticed like on your right eyelid, like there's a scar. There's a scar on your right eyelid. Can you elaborate how you got that scar before the Last Starfighter?
A scar? You mean here, right here?
No, on your eyelid.
On your eyelid? Scar on your eyelid?
No.
I never
right side.
Do I have a scar on my eyelid?
Maybe not. It was a movie scene.
Interesting.
It was. I don't understand. Wait.
He saw a scar on your right eyelid in the film. He was wondering if that was makeup or you had gotten a scar previously.
I probably got a scar. I mean, I've spent most of my life in the emergency room, so I spent more time I pay rent actually in the emergency room. No, I don't know. I've never looked at
That
my
4K really brings out the details.
Yeah, really.
Things we didn't even know we
What
had.
exactly? I mean, I have this big ugly scar right here, but that was an accident at home.
Right here.
Yeah.
This is Ryan again. I have a question that actually, Catherine, you brought it up when we were talking about his laugh, how there's a lot of scenes that you guys only got to see after the movie was finished. And I remember as I was growing up, and Chris, this is a good question for you too, so all three of you. Did you guys come back when you watched the movie in the final screenings going, oh wow, Dan Mason's scene and the whole command ship stuff, that was a whole other world. We never saw this. Because as I was growing up, my friends and I, we would quote Commander Krill. We just loved it. We just loved all the dynamics of the Kodan. And did you guys come back and go, hey, wow, we never even saw this? What was your kind of like, oh yeah moment?
Well, for me, I mean, had no idea what any of the space stuff would look like. The only time I saw anything related to that was when we were doing the reshoots and he did the Death Blossom thing. That'll be a nice story for you to tell. They were shooting the Death Blossom, but it was literally just a metal cage, I guess you could describe it as, a ball that was flipping it. So I had no concept. So when I first saw the movie, it was all brand new for me, for sure. Yeah.
The Krill stuff, I just knew, because I only had 3 days off. So they shot all that stuff on those 3 days. So all I thought was, oh, that's what they shot on the 3 days off that I so, yeah. And of course, everybody's favorite line is, we die.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
The actor's so good in that.
oh yeah. It's just everybody loves that. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I mean, I knew that was part of the story. I just never, to tell you the truth, I wasn't that concerned with it because I'm always looking at, oh God, what did I blow it? What did I do? Did I do this right? Is this gonna work? You know, so I was always paying attention to like my failings. There weren't many, but I just, I was like, the things that I paid attention to were mostly to do with me.
Hi, I have a question for Lance, guest. She mentioned that in the Death Blossom scene, you were kind of just in this big cage that was moving around, and you in it, of course. Was that kind of nauseous? Some of those scenes where you're like just spinning around in that.
That's exactly what it was. It was forward. It was like a carnival ride. It was like something getting Magic Mountain. You just boop boop boop, and it was, and I was good for like 2 takes, and then I was like, so that was all real. So this guy here's had his hand up. So
I don't know where anybody is behind you.
The microphone is right there.
She's handing the mic to you there.
So were you aware that when Marvel Comics put out the 3-issue miniseries, were you aware of that when it came out? Did you check out your characters? Catherine, you look really hot in it.
I was so hot. I was like, yes! It was hilarious to
Daisy
me.
Duke there.
I know, I was totally
Did you guys
Daisy
buy it
Duke
when it
there.
came out?
Well, what they were given, we got 3
Comics.
3 things of it.
Okay.
Oh, here's a comic book. Oh, okay, wow.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you're in a comic book.
There you go.
It's cool, but it was weird though. I have to say, being Daisy Duke, because it was so not what my character was.
And
It was kind of
like,
fun looking at myself that way.
I was a
once.
string bean. I mean, I was a string bean when we did it, and I'm like all,
Yeah.
Buffed up.
Marvel.
I have my copies, by the way.
Oh, I got them. I got some copies.
I have a couple of them. I don't think I have this whole set.
So just out of curiosity, when speaking about the CGI and the special effects being added after the fact, working with Nick Castle, did he have stuff for you to react to, or items, or teddy bears or something, or did he just empty space? Okay, now here comes this, and you gotta go, how did he guide you in terms of your performance when most of the stuff wasn't there?
He was really good. He was really good at, he was as specific and as helpful as he could be. And he would just describe things like that, and he would just say, okay, now just look twice at that, you know, like something's happened, and then just look at it again. And we had bang sticks too, because there was light that would, you know, come up. They bang these things together, get like lightning type of stuff. So that was real stuff to react to. And he would, you know, just say, okay, you're right, to your left, to your right, to your left, because we need, you know, but he talked us through it, or talked me through it. So, like I said, he was as helpful as you could be. And the thing is, he really wasn't sure what was going to end up, what they could do digitally or not. So
was there actually anything on the screen for the video game, or were you just looking?
it was a loop. It was like if you put a VHS test tape into a thing. That's what it was. It was just a thing over and over again with the little scarlet light, the little target lights, and the command ship and all that stuff. That was a cartoon that they just played over and over and over again until I got to where I knew what was happening, and you know, it's like I had the cliff notes for the video game. and I'll say that my having to do that has been a model for my video game prowess. Meaning, it's kind of like if somebody sings for you, you know, it's 12 movies, you're a terrible singer, you know. That's me in video games.
I do remember they took out the screen, there was like a bed of light bulbs for like the reaction shots. So the overshot of the screen was the loop.
That's true.
You remember when the spaceship landed in the trailer park and what that was like? Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They just had so we're in a desert basically, and they had a giant fan blowing on us. So you're just dirt blowing in your face. And I think they had model legs, didn't they? And then, but that was it. And then Nick would say, okay, it's this giant spaceship is landing, and you're just looking up at it, and this giant huge fan was blowing at us. I think that was the only thing that I had to react to that wasn't actually there, except your personality as Beta.
Have you watched it? Have you guys watched it with your children? Have you watched it with your children?
Oh yeah. I mean, that might have been one of the first. Well, actually, that's not true. My son probably saw it when he was like 3 years old or something. At the New Art Theater.
Oh, that's right. The 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I wasn't there.
and Jack were there. Yeah, and I was there. Yeah. My kids are sort of. Children are very humbling as an age. They just think it's all ridiculous, and they kind of roll their eyes. But when they were younger, my kids are 3 years apart, but their birthdays are 2 days apart, and they both decided to have big sleepovers on their birthdays. And they watched Night of the Comet and The Last Starfighter. I know what their friends.
That's so cool.
I was sort of peeking in, going, oh, I remember this moment. And it's never happened again.
My kids have seen it, I think, once. So we watched it together. So, yeah, we're like I said, we're a film family. They love Charlie Chaplin, they'll love silent films, they like foreign films, and I just waited till I felt it was a good time for them. And yeah, they enjoyed it. I don't know that they were like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome, that was so worth the wait. No, it was like, you know, my older son was like, yeah, Dad, that was pretty good. I'm like, okay. So, it was good.
It must be weird to see children see you as a child.
Right.
You know, like I never saw my dad as a child on film.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, never thought about that. Yeah.
I thought it was funny that the show got a PG rating because of all the stuff he says.
Right.
He's the only one that.
I'm the one that took it to the next level.
It's like somebody, I think that was like Nick's idea. He's like, okay, how about nobody swears in this movie except the kid?
What the shit?
Could be, yeah.
I don't know, I never heard that.
Oh, I've noticed it with all the swear words are all
Well,
said by
I'll tell you, so you're asking about like scenes we were looking forward to. I don't know that I even read the entire script, honestly. You read your scenes and such. I was familiar kind of with the story, but I don't think I actually read the script. When there was the like cast and crew screening, wherever that was, it wasn't public. And I think I was sitting with, what's the producer's name?
Gary.
Thank you, like his son. I was sitting with his son, and the scene where it's the suck face beta thing, I remember being like creeped out about that. So maybe that was the PG rating. It scared the kids. Of course, the 11-year-old looking at Playboys doesn't help with that. So.
There was another. Yeah, go ahead.
So I had a question that's more about the story, and I realize none of you will probably know the answer. I'm hoping maybe one of you do, because really the only person that's in the scene eventually is Catherine. So I discovered this recently at home watching it because I couldn't get the subtitles to turn off. So when the movie first opens, the POV is going through the trailer park, and then you finally meet up with Maggie getting picnic baskets and whatnot. You can hear a radio announcer interviewing someone, and it's a female voice, and she's talking about, she thinks she's seeing spaceships, and the local police are like telling her, no, it's not that, blah, blah, blah. But you can hear this dialogue in the background, but usually when you're watching the movie, it gets drowned out by the sound of like everyone's crazy windmills and then finally Maggie's dialogue. So does anyone either on stage or maybe the audience know, was there more of a storytelling element that like people were aware of alien landings? Like, because you see those kind of comments, quote unquote, coming and going, where you assume it's Centauri checking on things. But was there more of other maybe residents being like, what's going on in the story?
No, that probably was a sound guy, the sound designers sort of like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if they were talking about alien?
Right. Yeah.
Like there was a Night of the Comet crossover.
Could be.
I don't know. I'm geeking out because I'm like, I don't know that I paid attention to that. I gotta go back to
No,
that.
yeah,
That's
we
fun.
gotta put the subtitles up.
I like I said, I only noticed it subtitles, and I've literally seen this movie hundreds of times, and I probably learned that
It's
2 months ago.
Yeah, it's too bad that Nick isn't here because he might know the answer to
Yeah.
that.
Because I even read the novelization as a kid a lot, and it doesn't mention it in there either. But I just thought maybe there was a missing scene or something that alluded that other people were noticing that, there was maybe something going on.
It's interesting, a friend of mine wrote a script about alien abduction, and it was up in the Colorado Rockies, where it's very high elevation. And I remember thinking, yeah, if you would land on the place that's closest to where you are, which might be on a mountaintop. And then I thought about Alex and Maggie and Lewis were all in the mountains, that's where the thing took place. So higher elevation might be a larger percentage of alien abduction. It's my theory. Sticking to it.
Any more audience questions? Oh, one more now.
Thank you. I'm really big in movie cars, okay, a lot like Back to the Future that we talked about a little bit. So your experience when at the trailer park, when you saw Centauri come, okay, and then later he takes off, and then you're in the car at times, and you're not, and then when you get to the planet Rylos, sometimes it was a mock-up, but was it ever a real car? Because I know Gene Winfield made the car. So was there any scenes you were actually in, Lance, that was actually the car that you could recall?
I know for sure that when I got into the car,
Yeah.
it was, when I'm actually getting into the car, they didn't really fake that. That's what I recall. I remember when we're like heading towards the precipice. I can't remember if we were driving or not. because we didn't have to be.
Yeah. Well, like with the fight scene, Zanzuzan, that was simply a mock-up, if I'm not mistaken, if you can recall that.
Oh, you mean the car?
The car was just a mock-up. It was sitting there. It really wasn't the car. It was a mock-up. Okay.
That I wouldn't know.
Well, I know who Kevin Pike happened to be the special effects supervisor.
Kevin was the one. Okay.
Yeah, and I know him real well because of the DeLorean Time Machine.
Right.
But when I talked to Gene and about the doors opening up, because technically Universal only wanted 2 doors to open up, and he said, I made it for 4 doors, but they only made it for 2. So when you're sitting in the back, and then the beta unit's there, he's opening up another door, which was kind of unusual.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, really all the doors go, but the passenger side on Centauri's side never opened up, and it was down or something. Do you recall seeing why there was, like, you didn't get to sit in that seat?
No, I never did. That was the this guy that was my stand-in. Actually, he was. They didn't show his face. He just wore my clothes because he was basically the same size. Yeah, Mike. That was his name, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I do remember. I thought I got into the car at the very beginning when he's like, "Step into my office."
Yeah, it looks like it, you know. But then later, like when you're in the desert, when you're coming back from Rylos to Earth, you're in the desert and he's fixing it.
Yeah.
That's the real car, and it does take off. Okay.
Yep.
But the other scene, which is really an unusual scene, you were sitting in the car, is when they got to Rylos the first time and even the second time, that they had to turn the car. It was actually in a studio, at least I was told, and you had to make this sharp turn. That's the real car. And then Centauri gets out, and then later you get out, and you stepping out of the real car, because that was the real car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was right. Yeah. I just know that when we were moving, it probably there was only a couple of times when it was a real car moving.
Yeah.
But not much.
Okay.
You know, all that stuff where I'm like fighting the gravity, trying to pull up the thing, and he shows me that he has no face, and blah, you know, like that.
Right.
That was all fixed. You know.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, both.
You know more about this than I do, so.
Well, like I said, I'm making one. Okay?
There you go.
I'm not quite there yet.
And I love that you're using the VW chassis, which is what they did originally.
So, you know, I was hoping this year, it's been 4 years now I've been making this, but I was hoping now I could show it to you, but we still got a little ways to go. Yeah.
We're still here.
Thank you.
See you at the next screening at the Frida.
Any more audience questions? Oh, you go. One more.
Thank you. I love this film from beginning to end, but one of the elements that really resounds with me is the score by Craig Safin. Does the music mean anything to you? Has it affected you? Or maybe it means nothing, but every time I hear it, it's just so stirring, and it helps really with the storytelling. What are your thoughts about the music?
I don't know for sure. I would probably bet that in the process of developing the score, I can imagine some studio heads saying, give us something like John Williams, you know, something like that. Because there were clear, I don't want to say intentional, but people were making connections to Star Wars, you know, Kid in the Desert and stuff. Obviously, Last Starfighter has a different personality than that. But yeah, I love the music. Not my words, but I feel are very appropriate words. I remember a music critic talking about the sincerity of the soundtrack. And what I love about the music is that he takes the fanfare theme and he weaves similar themes, but with different instrumentation and different tempos. He brings it up very triumphant, and then times where it's more contemplative, like the scene when Alex is sitting there and he's looking up and the planets are going around. I love that scene, and the music is just amazing as he's like, where am I going to go? You know? So yeah, I love the score, and I am glad that it seems over time people who are not just fans of the film, but people who are into film scoring are seeing it as a unique composition and not just a, on the surface, John Williams knockoff. It's special. I enjoy it.
Can't add anything
Yeah,
to that,
that's
honestly.
really.
When we came in to be introduced at the end here and the theme song was going, it gave me chills. I mean, it really is something that stirs you, for sure. The entire soundtrack. And Craig Saffin is just amazing. Amazingly talented and really a lovely, lovely human being.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw it without the music when we were dubbing. We had to put in a lot of ADR and stuff. And I saw a good portion of it without music, and it's a whole different ballgame. So they kept saying to me, yeah, there's gonna, don't judge it because, they put the music in, it makes it, because I wasn't used to having seen this much of a movie and being part of something that didn't have music and you really noticed it. So once the music happened, it was so much better.
I remember this one little anecdote. I was invited for some reason to come and watch them record with the full orchestra, Craig conducting, and Nick was there as well, and they were playing, I don't know how they do it now, because it's all very digitized and everything, but they were literally playing the movie, and Craig was conducting the orchestra to the movie as it played. And I will never forget that. That was just one of the most magical moments for me.
An amazing experience. I don't know how that happened. I'm grateful it did.
All right, well, before we get out of here, Lance, I think I heard a story that did Nick discover you by walking in on John Carpenter editing, or?
Well, that I did not hear that story either until I saw these special features of the Last Starfighter in 2000 or something, and actually it was even later than that. I think it was 2010. Nick and John are friends, and they went to school together, and Nick was involved in Escape from New York, and also Halloween, and they worked together a lot. And I think John was a writer-producer on Halloween 2, and he was doing some editing stuff, and he was, Nick was like, hey, wait, who's that guy? And, I'm running down the hallway like I do all the time. He just was sort of like, who is that guy? I have a project where I need a young person, and I was 20 when I made Halloween 2. So he just remembered me from that. And Nick didn't tell me this, like when I auditioned at all. And so I thought, I'll just audition, and they seem to want me for some reason. And then I got a call back, and it was just, the initial audition was a lot earlier than everybody else's audition, so I think Nick wanted to see me first. So that's my guess, I don't know. But then I found out in 2010 or something that that's how it took place, but I didn't know that prior to that.
And now in Halloween 2, I think it was your character that slips on some blood.
I slip on the blood.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun here a couple of years ago when I hosted a screening of Halloween 2 coupled with Friday the 13th Part 2. I took it upon myself to playfully play some sound clips throughout each of the films, and on that moment when you slip and there's just a big silent moment, I had George Costanza saying, "That's gotta hurt."
It actually did. I'd never done anything like that before, and I fell onto a floor. And the stunt guy had actually put something. He couldn't put a pad down there because it'd be really obvious. So I think he was assuming that I had some common sense. That at the very end, I sort of sit up. I'm sitting up, and then I just drop into frame. We do it in 3 shots. There was a stuntman for the wide shot. So all I had to do was fall into frame like that, and I literally I thought, oh, this will be fine. Bam! And I didn't. I could have just gone this far up and then fell back and cushioned myself with the shoulders. No, just head went straight down onto the concrete. It was just like I was totally ringing my bell. I was like. And Dick was like, yeah, you're not supposed to do that. He was the stunt guy, the stunt coordinator.
so funny. All right, there's Last Starfighter. There's an arcade. I love how the town, they're so proud of Alex for getting that high score. I'm partial to Tempest. What's your favorite arcade game? And Missile Command. I saw something that looked like Missile Command when they were getting attacked at the main base. I was like, that's one of my favorite.
We had Missile Command. My husband had the whole big thing of Missile Command for years and years and years. My kids are really, really good at it. I never got really good at it. I stopped at like Pac-Man. I mean, that's how bad I am. But yeah, we had Missile Command. That's so funny. We finally ended up having to give it away.
I liked pinball. I did not play video games. I still don't play video games.
I have to pick between my kids. Man, see, this is my generation. I remember going to the arcade. I played all the Asteroids I enjoyed. Dragon's Lair I never could do. It would just seem way too hard. I'm like, let me just watch other people play. Okay, the one, I don't want to say it was like my favorite, but one that I remember actually getting somewhat good at was Karate Champ. There you go.
All right, everybody. There we go. The cast from The Last Starfighter. Lance, Jess, and Catherine Mary Stewart. Please give a round of applause. We're going to take a little group picture here, so get the cameras ready.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah.